You're listening to a 58 Ember production.
Welcome to Sky Talkers. Here are your hosts, Charlotte and Caitlin.
Hello, and welcome to Sky Talkers. I'm your host, Charlotte.
Hey, everyone. I'm your other host, Caitlin, and welcome to this week's episode where we are talking all about our trip to Tunisia in Africa to see all the Star Wars filming sites with the company Galaxy Tours. I'm so excited. We just got back 48
2 days
hours
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, the jet lag has been way more than I think either of us expected.
Yeah. It's basically it's the same time zone as Europe.
Right.
And I've done this a bunch, and I feel like this is really hitting me. But I think it has to do with work and social events and everything. It's just really hitting me.
Charlotte had to go into the office the day after we got back, and we got back at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. She had to go in the office, and then she did dinner with friends, and she's like, I don't know why I'm so tired, and I'm sitting in bed like, I know.
Yeah, well. It's that time of year, you know?
I know.
It's busy.
I did go to a yoga class the first evening we got back, and it's like gentle yoga. So I was like, this will be a good way to like ease back into my
They
routine.
say when you work out and stuff like that, it's really good for jet lag.
Yeah. But anyway, it's gentle yoga. So it's not that intense, right? But like, you know, gentle stretches and like stuff like that, which I love. And I love this class in wintertime as well, because it's like dark and cozy, you know? And people were asking me about my trip there, and they were like, don't you feel jet lagged? This is like 6:30 p.m. And I'm like, I feel fine. And then halfway through the class, like hit a wall. I was like, oh my God. And then we're in the final Shavasana, which in gentle yoga is always like 10 to 12 minutes long. And I was like, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm fully going to fall asleep here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, starting that's like a midnight,
Yeah.
convention. And then by the end of that, it's like 1 to 2 a.m. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yep. So basically, hopefully by this weekend, we'll be back to normal.
Yes. I think by tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had like the best trip ever. So we're really, really excited to talk about it because there's so much to say. We've gotten a lot of questions around how do you even plan something like this? How did you even hear about it? What do you even do? You know, all these things. So we're going to go day by day, talk about each day that we did. This is going to be a 2-part podcast series. So this week we'll do the first half of our trip, and then next week we'll do the second half of our trip. And yeah, we'll go through some of the things we learned, including Star Wars facts and filming information, then also just like get chatty about our trip.
I'm really excited. This was such a fun trip. And if you guys have been following along on the podcast, we interviewed the CEO of Galaxy Tours, which is the company that we did this tour through, Davin Anderson, back in July. And that was when he convinced us to sign up for this November tour. So we did that pretty immediately afterwards. And if you want to see like visuals of this trip, Charlotte has posted so much on our TikTok and Instagram. So that is definitely a place to go and check to kind of follow along with some of the things that we're talking about. Also, just to be upfront, we did get a bit of a discount to go on this trip in exchange for some of our social media postings and then for this recap itself. So we did pay for the trip, but we did also receive a discount. And you guys know we always want to be transparent about that kind of stuff. But truly, genuinely, we had such an incredible time. This was my first time in Africa, which was kind of crazy because I'd never been to Asia either this year. So we went to Japan in April and then Africa in Tunisia in fall. So checking off 2 continents for myself was like kind of major in 1 year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a really great time, and I'm super excited to kind of go in depth through this.
Okay, so where should we start?
Let's start. What is Galaxy Tours, really? Because that's the company we went with. We interviewed the CEO. You should definitely go back and listen to that episode with Davin to hear more about his vision for the trip. But let's do a little bit of a recap about what Galaxy Tours is here on this podcast episode. So Galaxy Tours is a tour company that hosts tours throughout Tunisia specifically. It's just located in Tunisia, and they visit the filming sites, the filming and scouted locations for Star Wars, including A New Hope, The Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones, and then also Indiana Jones.
Also, technically Revenge of the Sith. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, that's true. We'll talk about that. Technically,
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith as well.
Mhm.
So the entire prequel trilogy.
Exactly.
We'd love to hear it. And then you can do 3, 4, or 6 day all-inclusive tours through Galaxy Tour. So you can kind of pick the length of tour that you want to go on. You can also do like day trips, which we'll talk a little bit about that. We got to experience a little bit of that at the end of our tour. So they're kind of like an add-on, these day trips.
Yeah, and you could do group tours, which happen, I think, once or twice a year, which is what we went on. We went on a group tour with about 18 people. And you could also do individual tours where a tour guide will take you on this 3 to 4 to 6 day trip as well. So you don't have to go with a group. You can go whenever you want in the year. I mean, guide availability pending, but that's you could do individual tours. You don't have to go on a group tour.
Yeah, essentially a private tour.
Yes.
And the majority of the tours are led by Tunisian tour guides. And then I think Davin does the group tour, which is usually in November. And then I think he does both, like whenever there are big group tours, I think he leads those. But he usually does 1 or 2 group-led tours a year where he's there leading the tour itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So on our tour, we did a 4-day group tour. So like Charlotte said, there were about 18 people in the tour with us, and Davin was leading it. And then there were 2 Tunisian tour guides with us, Iman and Ahmed, and they were wonderful. And yeah, it was great. I feel like we got the best of both worlds, honestly, having Davin and Iman and Ahmed with us.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. The fact that Davin works with Tunisian local guides, and what I understand is that in order to be a tour guide in Tunisia, you have to go through a rigorous process. We have to be certified. So Galaxy Tours then employs these certified tour guides who are also certified in other bits of history too, right? Like Tunisian history. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So like Ahmed, we learned he like plans private tours for tourists coming to Tunisia, like visiting a lot of historical sites and things like that. And then he was actually training to be a Galaxy Tours tour guide on our tour. So he was obviously very familiar with Tunisia, and then he was starting to get introduced to Star Wars and Star Wars fans specifically and stuff like that. So it was really fun because when we were going to these places around Tunisia, and of course we're getting the Star Wars history, then our Tunisian tour guides were also jumping in with like Tunisian history, which was really cool.
Yeah, and honestly, that was pretty important to me too.
Yeah, me too.
And a surprise, I guess, on this tour. Like I didn't know how much we would get that, and I was really happy that we did.
Yeah, I was too. And we're definitely going to talk about some of those like crossovers where we got to learn a bit more about the history of Tunisia throughout the tour. But yeah, Galaxy Tours, they've been operating for a couple of years now. And I think Davin mentioned that this was the biggest group tour that they had to date. So there were things that they were learning about kind of maneuvering this number of people throughout Tunisia, and some of those things of making sure everyone had enough time for photos in specific places with a group that size. And they actually have a bigger tour that they're doing in March next year for the 50th anniversary of filming in Tunisia for A New Hope, which is going to be really
incredible.
Cool.
That one is sold out. There is a wait list, we had learned, but that one is sold out. If you are interested, it really seems incredible. Yeah. Like so good.
Like
we heard
really
a lot
good.
about what they're going to do. So if you're interested, I would recommend joining the waitlist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, anyway.
So just to talk a little bit more about Galaxy Tours here at the front, this is pulled directly from their website, but just to kind of give you an idea of the goals of the company and kind of what they hope Galaxy Tours can do for Star Wars fans and then also for the tourism industry within Tunisia. So Again, this is straight from their website. Quote, catered to cinema fans and cultural heritage enthusiasts alike. We share unrivaled research and original analysis specific to the history of Lucasfilm production in Tunisia. We introduce the global Star Wars community to otherwise unknown Star Wars personalities through our efforts to discover and promote Tunisian extras and crew members who directly contributed to the Star Wars franchise filming in 1976, 1997, and 2000. We engage Tunisian and international stakeholders to preserve and restore the Star Wars and Indiana Jones locations in the country as historical landmarks of worldwide cultural value. We partner with Tunisian companies and organizations to facilitate enduring economic gains rooted in sustainable tourism for local communities and tourism industry professionals connected to the Lucasfilm sites.
I really resonate with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they accomplished that from the tour that we had just gone on. This is not my first time to Africa. I had been to Morocco and I've been to Egypt. And I would say Tunisia is most similar to Morocco versus Egypt. And what we found throughout our tour is just like the tourism numbers I felt were low. Like there were often times where we were the only people around, which was really interesting. And it made for an uncrowded experience and everything was really cool. Yeah. So I think that it felt like a very much like uncharted territory for us to experience. Cause like we truly didn't know anyone who had gone before. And that was really cool.
Yeah, we actually, once we had announced on the podcast that we were taking this trip, we had someone that we do know through the Star Wars community, Robin, who reached out to us, and she had actually been on this trip last year. So we do
provided
know
a lot of
she gave us a lot of really helpful tips, honestly, that we're also going to share in this podcast in case you end up booking a trip to Tunisia through Galaxy Tours. That would be good to know. And all the credit to her, honestly, because she really kind of saved us a couple of times.
Yes, quite literally the only person that that at least I knew that had gone before.
Yeah, it was like the only person that I knew who had been to Tunisia, and then specifically like they happened to go on this tour specifically. Yeah. And also I'll say that November is considered like the low season for tourism in Tunisia, and you could definitely feel that. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see. We do know someone that's going on the tour in March, which I think is also a bit of the low season for their tourism industry, but I'll be interested to see how that kind of compares. But summertime is definitely the time when most tourists are visiting Tunisia, from what we understand.
Yeah, it's on the Mediterranean, so there's like a big appeal of beach vacations.
Yeah, and I gotta say, there were a couple of people who I would tell I was going to Tunisia. You know, it's like, oh, the PTO, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Tunisia.
Yeah,
and they're like,
where is that?
Where that is?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just go straight down from Italy. Just
exactly.
Kind of
again, that's why I mentioned this, is that it just thought the reaction of like, oh, we're going was so interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I was on the plane there, I was like, wow, we're really doing this. We're going. It's great.
I know.
And when we got there, I was like, this is not crazy. I feel very comfortable and fine. But I guess like, I don't think I've ever been to a place before that I didn't know a single person in my real life who had gone, you know? And so that was like took a fair amount of planning and like getting your brain over it. So if you're listening, we are someone now that you know who has been to Tunisia.
Yeah. And Tunisia we'll talk about this more, but it has such a fascinating history that I really wasn't aware fully, just all of the kind of influences that are in this country. And then also just about how the country operates day to day. We'll talk about that in day one. So why don't we jump into day one?
Sure.
Okay. So flying over there was planned to be really simple, super simple, easy peasy. There are direct flights to the capital city of Tunis from Paris. So Charlotte and I each were going to get on a plane from New York for Charlotte, Atlanta for me, meet in Paris, get on the same flight from Paris to Tunis, and be in Tunis together. And that did not happen, listener. That did not happen at all because my flight was delayed by 2.5 hours getting out of Atlanta. And it was honestly like really stressful.
It was super stressful.
Yeah.
Because of the shutdown. It was really stressful, but it worked. The listener, just know it worked out.
It did work out. I was basically, Charlotte and I both were waiting over the Atlantic for me to get rebooked. Because they told us, they were like, you'll get your rebooking information after we take off. So about 3 hours into the flight, I finally got the notification that I had been rebooked. And unfortunately, I had to go from Atlanta to Paris, from Paris to Milan, and then from Milan to Tunis. And anyway, it was
Bonus trip to Italy.
bonus. I know. I was like, please make sure I get a stamp here. And I did on my passport. So that was fun, at least. The problem too is I had a 45-minute layover between Paris and Milan at Charles de Gaulle, which I had never flown into Charles de Gaulle Airport before and hated it so much. And everything I was reading online and that Charlotte was also reading was like, you need at least a 2-hour layover in Charles de Gaulle because it's so terrible. And you do, because I would have missed my flight to Milan, except that flight was also delayed. So anyway, it was not smooth sailing getting there.
It was also like pretty crucial that Caitlin arrive that day, that she did end up arriving very late, by the way, because our journey to the next place in the country of Tunisia, we weren't staying in where we flew in. The next day we were traveling south. And that travel included another person that we were going to pick up. Like it was contingent on a lot. And so she needed to get there. So it was like, okay, I guess took a lot of like, okay, they got rebooked through Milan, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. And it was like, at the time, all the flights were on time, right? So that 45-minute layover, we just got to sit with that 45-minute layover for the remaining flight to Paris, both of us. And it was like looking at every single option, like if I don't make the flight to Paris or to Milan, what's the next game
What do we
plan?
do?
And to be honest, there really weren't other options. Like we role played all of them and none of them were working. Air France was not helpful at all.
No.
Anyway, I did get there. It worked. Charlotte arrived around 1:00. I think I got there around 8 or 9. Much, much later. But I will say the app that really saved us was this app called Flighty, which actually became really big that same weekend because they talked about it on CNN or something like that. Yeah.
Really?
During the shutdown, they were like,
well, that's how I found out about it. So so I found out about, okay. So before Caitlin and I left, Caitlin for a while had been like, are we going to have issues with our flight because of the shutdown? And everything that we had been reading was like the international flights are being prioritized, so it'll probably be fine. That ended up being true for me, not for Caitlin. And I had been tracking flights on several different like browsers and Twitter and things like that. And Twitter, I found Flighty as a user reporting things before they had even been public. And I was like, what is this? And I looked and it's an app. So I was like, all right, I don't have an external flight tracking app. I might as well download this. And then I liked it. So I was like, Caitlin, you've got to download this because you can you put it in your flights and then you track them and it tracks the incoming planes and the plane
you can track
changes.
Your friends too. So we had all of our flights on there.
Yeah. And then what we found is through the process, Flighty would update the gates and the gate changes and the plane changes before the airlines even did. And so now I'm obsessed with this app. I can't recommend it enough. If you travel a lot or if you travel even moderately, definitely download it. There's a free version that we used basically for the entire time. That I think was really saved us, like truly saved us.
It did. It really did. And it was nice having each other's flights, particularly Charlotte having mine on there during our flight over there, since things were kind of changing hourly to see where things were going. But yeah, Flighty, sponsor us. That would be great. We really loved using your app and we'll continue to use it.
Yeah. So I guess if I could give a tip though, if you were to come to Tunisia and you are flying through Tunis, and doing a Galaxy tour. Galaxy tour starts in Djerba, which is south of Tunis. Tunis is the main capital city and where the big, huge airport is. From Europe, it seems like you can fly into Djerba too, but we didn't explore that option. But we knew several people on the tour who were also doing that. But basically, you will need to get from Tunis to Djerba. You can either take a hopper flight that Galaxy Tours could arrange for you through Tunis Air, or you can also take a car service that Galaxy Tours will also help arrange for you.
Tour starts on Djerba, which is an island.
Exactly.
And like Charlotte mentioned, it's basically southeast of Tunis, the capital. So you have the tour starts, like our tour started on Tuesday morning on Djerba, and you have to be in Djerba the night before to make sure you're there on time, because the tour starts at like 7:30 in the morning. So you have to be on the island of Djerba Monday night, for example, and then the tour starts Tuesday morning. So
it was really crucial for Caitlin to get to Tunis on Sunday so that we can journey down to Djerba on Monday. Mm-hmm. And if she got to Tunis on Monday morning, or like Monday afternoon, I don't know if we would have had time for her to get to Djerba, or like what that would even have looked like. Yeah. Because we had a car service that was split with another person on the group tour that was picking us up the next day. So that was the worry. So if I could go back in time, I would say maybe start your journey a day or two before in Tunis.
Yeah.
Just to give yourself that buffer window.
Yeah. If you're coming from Europe, I feel like it's probably not as big of a concern, because like Charlotte said, there appear to be more direct flights from different places.
Like it seems like EasyJet flies in, and also like British Airways, I think they fly into Djerba, the airport there. But we didn't explore that. And maybe we should have, but we didn't.
Next time.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about transportation through Galaxy Tours. The other thing you need to know about Tunisia is that it is a closed currency system, which this just kind of messed with Charlotte and I's brain for like 2 months. We were like, what does that really mean? What do you do? Basically, what it means is that you can't take the currency, which is the dinar, out of Tunisia. It also means you can't like order dinar through your bank like the way that you would like euros, or we ordered yen before going to Japan here in the United States.
Or even exchange it in the airport at like your international airport in the United States. Before you get there.
So you have to, and Tunisia is very much a cash-based economy still. So cash is king. We, I think, used our credit cards twice the whole time we were there. Everything else was cash. So that was a bit of a stress coming in as well, because we were reading a lot of things about you can do it at the ATMs at the airport, or there are ATMs everywhere. There should be one at your hotel. There are exchange desks at the airport. And like even at the airport, once you're past security, like leaving Tunis, they don't accept dinars past security. They'll accept euros, but not dinars, because they don't want the money, I guess, like exiting the country at that point. Anyway,
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it worked out fine, but like Charlotte had trouble pulling cash out of the ATMs. This happened to her in Japan as well, but they accept credit cards more widely there, so it wasn't an issue. But that was a little bit of a stress, especially because she landed first and then had to get to the hotel and wasn't able to pull cash out of the ATMs that were at the airport. So anyway,
very stressful, arriving alone and being I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And anyway, thankfully I was able to pull cash when I finally arrived, and I pulled enough for us for basically the week, not quite the full week, but I was able to get it out. But that is something to note as well when you're preparing to go to Tunisia, is that you do use cash there. Like some of our hotels were paid for in cash, like very much cash forward. And you can only get that cash once you land. So just know that. We did some places, especially in Tunis, will accept euros. So I had some euros at my house that I brought as like a little bit of a backup. It wasn't very much at all. It was maybe like $50
Me too.
in euros.
And I ended up, because when I was so stressed around not being able to use the ATM when I landed in Tunis and without Caitlin, and we had a driver who brought us to our hotel, I ended up having to tip in euros, which ended up being okay, but not ideal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that's something to note for when you're planning your trip. And if you have questions about that, we did end up pulling cash at the airport and then also at our hotel. So all of that ended up working, but upon arrival, it was a little stressful about,
Mhm.
or is this going to work? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get there around 8, and then we stayed in a hotel called Dar El Jeld, which is within the Medina in Tunis. So the most historic place, well, not the most historic actually, but one of the older parts of the city in Tunis, and super cool hotel. We had giant rooms, one of the best beds I've ever slept in. It was like a dream to arrive there
Yeah.
after this super stressful travel day.
It's a super, super nice, like Medina style hotel with the courtyards, and then each of the rooms has a courtyard, and it's not that expensive. It was great. It was awesome. I highly recommend that hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was wonderful. Okay, so that was day 1, which I feel like was a lot of like administrative things about the tour.
We're gonna cruise through the rest. It's okay.
Yeah. So day 2 is when we're taking the van from Tunis to Djerba. And the thing is Charlotte mentioned that Galaxy Tours will like kind of set up the hopper flight basically between Tunis and Djerba. I actually don't know if they're going to do that moving forward anymore. That might be a change because the airline is Tunis Air. And as Charlotte and I discovered, they have a 75% delayed flight rate.
Crazy.
I experienced it because I took Tunis Air from Milan to Tunis, and that flight was also delayed by like 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
But I think it just, especially on the group tours, it's just kind of too many moving parts with the airline that isn't super reliable at this time. Of course, that could change in the future. But it is quicker, the plane. There are only 2 flights a day, though. So it's kind of like if those don't happen, SOL a little bit.
Mhm.
But you do have the van option, which we took the van. And while that is obviously more reliable, it does obviously take longer. It ended up being like a 7-hour journey from Tunis to Djerba, which flew by. And one of the big reasons that we would recommend doing that is because when you go from Tunis to Djerba, you get to stop in at El Jem, about 2.5 hours into the
Yeah, it's
drive.
basically the halfway point.
Yeah. And El Jem is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which, Charlotte and I love checking off. And El Jem is the most complete Colosseum from the Roman era, outside of Rome. And
Yeah.
it's super, super cool. Charlotte and I had actually had this bookmarked before going to Tunisia, but where it's located, it's kind of, there's not really like an easy way to get to it if you're not planning your day around it. And when we got the option to do the van, Davin was like, if you do the van, you get to stop at El Jem. And we were like, "Whoa,
okay,
okay.
sign us up. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And so El Jem is so, so cool. Caitlin and I
Mhm.
have both been to the Roman Colosseum, but this one, not only were we like one of 10 people there, but you can go underneath it. You can self-explore. And it really, it felt, I don't know, maybe this is just my memory kind of failing me a little bit, but this one felt, even though it's not as complete as Rome, it felt more complete mainly because we could explore it more, I guess, including like you could go underneath it. You can go into the caverns where they kept like the beasts, I could assume. And it was like pitch black. It was very cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. This was definitely a highlight.
Major highlight
Of the trip overall. I was really glad we were able to check this off. Yeah, there's just, you could quite literally go wherever you wanted. You paid like $2, $2 US to get in, and then you could quite literally go wherever you wanted in it. There was nothing off limit.
Yeah. We did like a self-guided tour basically. And we were there for about an hour. It was
Mhm.
great. It was
Yeah.
amazing. One thing I want to say is another Tunisian tour tip that we had heard actually from Robin was to bring portable toilet paper.
Yep.
This was the first time we had to use it, and it worked. It was good.
It was true.
And
He really saved us on this tip.
yes. So most of the restrooms there do not have toilet paper. So that was very helpful. Cannot recommend that enough. It is a must bring to
Yep.
Tunisia.
Really was. And actually, I'll say it was not the first time I had to use it, because I actually had to use it in Milan, the
Wild.
Milan airport, because
Yeah.
I went to 2 separate restrooms at the Milan airport in different parts of the airport.
Yeah.
And both were not, it was not available. So
Yeah. And I guess like the bathrooms and stuff that you will encounter in these sort of remote sites are just like not the best. So I think that you'd expect that. So having the portable toilet paper was very helpful.
Yeah.
But back to El Gem. El Gem was fantastic.
Yeah, El Gem was great. I'm so glad
It was
we
a
got
gem,
to go.
if you will.
It was a gem. Yeah, it's funny because El Gem, I think, was actually the quote unquote worst bathroom we went to on this
Yeah.
trip. And, some of the thing that's great about this tour in particular with Galaxy Tours, and especially on the 4 to 6 day trip, is that you really are getting to see so much of the country. Like you're
Like
really,
so much. So much.
these film sites are not, they're not in one spot, so you're really getting to journey through a lot of Tunisia, which is really cool. And obviously some places are more rural, some places are more urban. So you're seeing a wide breadth of like bathroom facilities, right? And at some of them, the guides would be like, this one, just know this one is not the best. And Charlotte and I the whole time were like, okay, we're judging this against El Gem because that one, like the floor was caving in, honestly. And none of the other ones were, I was like, oh, none of these are really that bad because El Gem was kind of the worst.
Yeah.
And everything else is just like, oh, okay, it's like a gas station bathroom, like
Totally.
you get a wide variety of cleanliness at gas stations. That was kind of the vibe.
Yeah. I mean, walking away, just like to speak a little bit around this, walking away from this tour, like it is insane how much of the country of Tunisia that we got
Mhm.
to see. And just even being able to tour almost an entire country through the lens of Star Wars was just so incredible. And
Yeah.
it's such a cool thing to do.
Yeah. And it's not very often you get to do that. Like when you visit a
Yeah.
country or something like that, you are maybe seeing 2 to 3 cities, depending on how long you're there and how big the country is, of course. But with this tour, given the size of Tunisia, how long we were there, and kind of the goal of the trip, we really got to see so much of the country. Like at the end of the week when we were back in Tunis and we were talking to people like at the hotel we were staying at, they were asking us if this was our first time and like how long we'd been in Tunisia already. And we were telling them like the places that we had gone already. And they were like, oh, wow, like you've really been around. And I was
Sure
like,
have.
yeah, I really feel like I've seen so much of the country. And I think that's just so cool.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So anyway, so after El Gem, we got back into the car, had a 3 more hour drive. And like Caitlin said, this really did fly by. It was nuts. And I felt that way about any sort of journey that we were on throughout the tour too, because we were on like a tour bus for a significant part of this. But in no way did I feel like I was bored or overly tired. Like everything really was planned super well. And I was at this point like pretty eager to get to Djerba, but at the same time, like I don't know, I didn't feel like this journey was excessive in length. So
Yeah.
when we arrived to Djerba, I was very excited though, and I think you were too, because we were meeting up with our friends who were also on the tour, Tori and Marta. Yeah, and like getting to see all the people who were getting ready for the tour to start the next day too, and everyone is
Mhm.
sort of congregating in this one hotel that we would later come back to at the end of the tour. But that was really exciting.
Yeah, like we said, everyone needed to be on the island of Djerba the day before the tour started, and most people elected to stay at the hotel that David
The tour
recommended.
begins.
Yeah, and where you're supposed to meet when the tour begins, which is what we did as well. Which actually we had originally planned to stay at a different hotel that was nearby, and then they just never responded to our email, so it didn't work out. But I'm glad that didn't work out for us, because it was the way better option to actually stay at the hotel where the tour started, which is called Dardaifa. And Dardaifa was incredible. We stayed there at the very end of the tour all together again. But it was a great spot. The food was great. We had dinner there twice. Breakfast was lovely. The employees were wonderful. The rooms are so cool. They're all different, which was a theme for the entire trip. But it was so much fun to see how everything was laid out. And Djerba is very historic, and this area was just lovely to walk around. They had like a lot of public art. It's called Djerba Hood, like neighborhood, but Djerba Hood. And you could just like walk around and see all these like beautiful murals on the walls and things like that. It was great. Loved it.
So Djerba is an island. And Caitlin, do you want to talk a little bit about its UNESCO significance?
Yeah. So the whole island is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Again, love checking them off.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, like I said, the entire island is listed. And the reason it's listed, it's for its unique settlement patterns. There's like this kind of merge between rural and urban development across Djerba, which is really unique. And a lot of that was due to like defensive measures, basically, that the people were taking on the island. Essentially, it was like they didn't want to have too many. They didn't want the community to be so concentrated in one spot because they felt like that could be a weakness on the island. So they're kind of spread out, but they also have like some of the houses, the housing complexes, I think they're called menzils, but they have like their own kind of like mini fortification system and like ways to contact other menzils nearby in case there is danger or something like that. Super cool, super unique. We'll talk about the coastal mosques on day 3 because that was a really big highlight. But that the coastal mosques are a really big part of why Djerba is significant historically. The island is also significant historically because it has a very diverse religious background too. Historically, there were a lot of Jewish, Muslims, and Christians living on the island all together. I think there were like well over 20 synagogues on Djerba at one point. Like we've mentioned, a lot of coastal mosques. There were also many Christian churches that were on the island too. And that's a really big part of their history as well, all living together at the same time. And one of these synagogues still there is the El Griba.
Griba, I think. Yeah,
synagogue, which is one of, if not the oldest synagogue in the world, which
when we found that out, we
crazy.
were like, wait.
Yeah. Crazy. It was established, I think, in the 7th century. I should pull that up, but I think it was the 7th century. And the building that's there now is not from the 7th century. It's from like the 19th century, I think. But the congregation, that's not the right word for the synagogue, but they have been there since the 6th, 7th century.
6th century BCE.
Yes. Yeah. So just wild. And we got to go in and visit the synagogue, and it was absolutely beautiful. And yeah, it was really special to be able to go there. And
really cool. I'm really glad that we ended up doing that. And that was so that's basically the entire day. We had dinner after we walked to the synagogue. And honestly, that was Caitlin and I's first time ever visiting a synagogue, I think, as like a site of like tourism, which it was. Like a touristic site, and that was super cool. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that we walked there to do that. And afterwards, we walked around Djerba Hood, saw the public art, and came back, relaxed a little bit, had a drink, and went to the restaurant at the hotel, which was so cool and amazing food and just really fun. Yeah. And after that, we just went to sleep and prepared for the next day, which was the start of the tour. We were like giddy excited. I was so excited.
Yeah. Neither one of us really got a lot of sleep that night. We were just really pumped.
Yeah, sort of like what awaits us next.
Reader, they weren't ready. Listener, they weren't ready. Okay, so the next morning, this is day 3 now that we've been in Tunisia. We are staying at Djerba overnight, and the first day of the tour starts bright and early. You have breakfast at Djerba, and basically you are touring like the built locations that are on Djerba, and you end up at Hotel Sidi Idris in Matmata, which that is the interior of the Lars Homestead from A New Hope, right? So
and then you actually stay there overnight.
Yeah. So you are touring around Djerba Island, and then you are en route to Hotel Sidi Idris. Djerba Island, if you look up pictures, you'll be like, oh, this is Tatooine, because that architecture is Tatooine. It's where it comes from. There is a city in Tunisia called Tatooine, but the architecture of Star Wars Tatooine is Djerban architecture, very clearly.
Yeah, and so we learned a lot. So the locations that we visited first were scouted sites. The first scouted site and scouted sites means the production designer, John Barry, visited Tunisia. They were going to visit Tunisia, Jordan, and Iran, right? For, and I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am, for potential filming locations for the planet that was originally called Utapau before it was Tatooine. And when John Barry came to Tunisia, he was like, this is it. And because the first location that he experienced for that was Djerba. And so when they said, yes, this is it, this is the location that we're going to film Star Wars, the first place that George Lucas actually visited in Tunisia was Djerba. So the way that the tour, Galaxy Tours, is structured is we're basically tracing the steps of George Lucas's first trip to Tunisia. And yeah, that's the concept of starting in Djerba. Makes a lot of sense when you're there and you see the map of where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so like Caitlin said, the Djerban architecture is Tatooine. I think that they had changed when they chose a Tunisian name for the planet of Tatooine and made it a desert planet when before it wasn't necessarily a desert planet. And they replaced the name Utapau with Tatooine. And then obviously Utapau as a name was used later in Revenge of the Sith. But this is stuff that we learned on Galaxy Tours, which I will say the first hour of us on the bus of the tour, like going to these locations, I was like, wow, I'm so happy that this tour goes as deep as it does on the stuff that Caitlin and I are obsessed with. The architecture, the history, the like minutia of George Lucas visiting Tunisia and his influence from that, right? I was so happy. So basically we learned that there were changes that happened because of the scouting trip and the trip with George Lucas, that the fourth draft of Star Wars, was changed because of this, like seeing the physicality of what Tunisia was and how that influenced the draft of Star Wars. I thought that was so cool. And yeah, so like even the Lars Homestead as a concept was transitioned to a subterranean concept, like the underground vibe that we see in Star Wars today. When before it was a surface level structure. And so the sort of direct influence from the Tunisian architecture and what we experienced at Hotel City Idris, this like subterranean, they call it the troglodyte type of architecture, which is like essentially like a cave hotel. All of that was changed in Star Wars to reflect what they were able to use for filming.
Yeah, and I think what's cool too that we learned is that George's first visit to Tunisia was in November of 1975. So 50 years ago, it just so happened that we were there at the same time.
Yeah, I was like, whoa,
Like,
that was 50 years ago
today. But yeah, I think when you look at like the Lars Homestead, it really, and like a lot of the Tatooine, Star Wars Tatooine architecture and look it is this combination of Djerba and then the rest of like these troglodyte hotels. And we'll talk about the Cassars, which you see throughout the Phantom Menace. It's really like this combination of all of these architectural styles and locations throughout Tunisia. Because when you're on Djerba, right, like Tashi Station is there. For example, it's like you're on an island. So the water is right there, the coast, like Obi-Wan's house on the water.
Yeah, it's waterfront.
View. Yeah.
In fact, it was a fishing mosque.
Right. Yeah. So obviously that had to go. And like Tashi Station is also seafront, right?
Yes.
Oceanfront, so that had to go too. And then, they're bringing in like the deserts and stuff that you see later on the trip. So that was really cool. Anyway, a lot of the sites that the scouted and filmed locations that we went to on Djerba Island, a lot of them were mosques. And this is what I was talking about or mentioned when we were talking about the UNESCO World Heritage Site is these coastal mosques. They are quite literally built right along the coast, so right up to the seaside. And they were obviously used for religious purposes. And then they were also specifically designed as fortifications and a way to be a lookout point for if, there were intruders or enemies coming to the island. The mosque was kind of the first line of defense. And so they have these coastal mosques kind of dotted all along the coast of Djerba Island, which was really cool. And Charlotte and I had been talking about it, and we had no idea that
we were literally on the bus, and Caitlin was like, I really wish that we could
go see these coastal mosques.
The coastal mosque. Like the coastal mosque sounds so cool. And then the bus pulls up to the coastal mosque.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't know Tashi Station was a mosque. I didn't know Obi-Wan's house was a mosque. It was really cool to see them though. And like Charlotte mentioned, the level of depth that went into like reporting about these filming sites from Davin, from Galaxy Tours is just to the nth degree. Like, I don't really think you get it. How like intense it is and how detailed it is. And
I think, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just got excited thinking about, because it is interesting, because I think Star Wars doesn't have a huge cultural pull with Tunisian culture. So the work that Davin has had to do for Galaxy Tours to kind of go, he mentioned a couple times going to view the like library archives for some of these older mosques and finding out what they actually were, what they used to be painted as. That research is kind of coming from Galaxy Tours in a lot of ways. And like bearing witness to that was so interesting.
Yeah. And just to note, the mosques that we did visit throughout this trip, they all no longer function as mosques.
Right.
So I didn't realize that, and I was like, oh, I don't like, should we be there? And kind of our like Star Wars cosplay, some of us, but none of them were operating as mosques anymore. So it was I was really glad that we were able to see them. I know you were too, because they're just, I don't know, I'd never seen anything like it. But at the same time, it obviously feels so familiar because it is Tatooine and it is Star Wars. So that was such a theme, I think, throughout our entire trip of, wow, this is something I've like I've never been in a place like this, but I've watched it dozens of times in Star Wars, which was really cool to see. And a lot of the tour, especially this first day where we're visiting mainly buildings in Star Wars that are still there, was a lot of Davin showing us like behind the scenes pictures from the days of filming compared to what it looked like in the film, compared to what it looks like now, and like pointing out these changes and things like that, which is obviously very fun for me because that's what I do in my job. Is it's like a spot the difference game of what did this building look like when it was built? What does it look like now? What's changed?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of, especially on this day, of what Davin was doing, which was really cool to see because at a place like the actual Tashi Station. So we went to the scouted location of Tashi Station first, which was not used in the film. And then we went to the one that was used in the film. And that one has undergone...
Which wasn't even actually used in the film.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a deleted
scene. That was actually filmed. But that one has gone through a lot of changes itself. And part of like one of the stairs up to the top, like they are in the process of redoing it right now. So it was like torn down, basically part of it. And then there have been whole sections to the mosque that have been added since 1976. So it was really fascinating to kind of, compare with these images from the film and see what's there now, but see how it's still very legible as a Star Wars site too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it. And Caitlin was also dressed as the wormy version of Luke, which was really cool and fun.
It was fun because Charlotte was kind of in a Padme-inspired look. And then our friend Tori was also doing a Padme day. And then Marta was also doing wormy Luke Skywalker. So we were like 2 Padmes and 2 wormies. And it was fun. It was fun. I will say, though, the only sad thing is that I lost my Baby Yoda keychain that we got in Japan.
Yeah, really, really freaking sad.
It was really sad. Yeah, it's fine though. Charlotte and I both got these like plush Grogu keychains in Japan. Like the Labubus, the Ewok keychains. And anyway, we had brought them to Tunisia, and mine was on my purse, and then it wasn't
on her purse.
And I guess if there's a place Baby Yoda's gotta go, Tashi Station is the best of the best, I suppose.
Needs the power converters.
He really needed the power converters so bad that he decided to stay in Tashi Station forever.
It's sad.
It is sad.
I must move on because I get sad about it.
What a place to go, though,
Yeah. Did we say the name of the Tashi Station location? It's Sidi Jamor Mosque, which was built in the 16th century.
Yes.
And then the next stop was Obi-Wan Kenobi's house, which was changed. The looks of it were changed in the special edition, but in the original 1977 film, this was the filming of it.
And this was the
Agma,
Agmar
Amgar.
Amgar. Yes, this was the Amgar Mosque, which is from the 10th century.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Davin told us about a YouTuber who decided to paint it brown.
A British YouTuber
who said, "I'm going to paint it brown." Came in, painted it brown, put it on his YouTube channel. And then because he thought he was restoring it or something.
A picture or something that he was like, it looks like this was painted brown, so I'm going to paint it brown, just on his own.
It's just like insane. And they have since painted it white again or removed the brown paint. But that's sort of an example of hearing about how people feel like they can just come on in and I don't know. It was such a weird. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to cut this out. But that whole thing, I'm very glad that now it's white again, what it needed to be, because that's what it originally was. It wasn't freaking brown. Since then, that YouTuber has deleted that YouTube video, but that did happen.
He can do, I guess. I don't. That's just like Davin was telling us that story as we were driving to Obi-Wan's house, and I was like, who just comes to a country
that's the
and
thing.
Paints a building. Like a whole building on their own.
Thank God I did this. Like, what
it's
kind of person?
It's ridiculous. But the other kind of controversial thing here at Obi-Wan's house, and then also at the filming site for the cantina, is there are these mosaics on the side of Obi-Wan's house and the cantina. On Obi-Wan's house, it's a mosaic of Obi-Wan, and on the cantina, it is a mosaic of a stormtrooper. This artist, this was sanctioned by the Tunisian government, so all by the book, if you will, unlike the painting of Obi-Wan's house. But there are these big mosaics like on that take up the whole, they're life size, bigger than life size, I would say. And some people really like them. Some people really don't. I honestly kind of don't know where I fall on this discussion about the mosaics, because I think that the Star Wars tourism industry is really kind of not fully tapped by Tunisia, and they could definitely like do more with it, I think. So kind of having these landmarks called out, I think is cool. And there's something like a little kitschy about it, which very much falls in line with like Hotel City Idris, which we'll talk about later, that I think is kind of charming. But the like preservationist in me is like, well, I don't know.
I know.
So it's kind of, I don't have a definitive opinion on it, honestly.
When we were there, I kind of liked them.
Yeah.
In the photos, I kind of liked them. I did post a poll in our Instagram stories,
right,
and the overwhelming response was, ew. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm with you. Same page. Literally same page.
Yeah. It's just, I think when you're there, the energy of it feels different. And again, especially when you get to Hotel City Idris, it all kind of flows together in a weird way. And maybe if Hotel City Idris was different, I might not feel exactly the same. But I don't know. Like I said, there's something a little kitschy, a little charming about it at the end of the day. So
agreed.
Yeah. Okay, so next after Obi-Wan's house was traveling to the cantina and the street where they filmed These Are Not the Droids You're Looking For. And
like the Docking Bay 94 like takeoff location.
Yeah. All of this is in a pretty a more urban area. So like there were a lot of kids like traveling from school and like people out and about working and like cafes and stuff like that. So then you have this whole group of like 20 people coming through to take pictures from the roof of this commercial building, like a multi-store commercial building. We all like went up to the roof and overlooked the cantina, which was a bakery at one point and has not been occupied for a really long time and is pretty run down, honestly. But you do, again, very recognizable as the cantina, and it's got the stormtrooper mosaic on the side of it. And it was really cool to hear, because what's great about when you go on the tour with Davin specifically is that he tells you about all of the journey he went on to correctly identify all of these sites.
Yeah.
Because while there had been people, and I can't think of their names right now, but there are like two pretty big figures in like the Star Wars filming locations in Tunisia world from like the 90s, like the early 90s. And they documented a lot of filming and scouted sites for Star Wars. But there were just some places where that information wasn't as complete or as accurate as it is now. And Davin really did a lot of that legwork. And he's telling us, like, I spent 40 hours on this street just matching and looking at all of these, images and comparing and contrasting. And you're like, wow. And he's like, I've stood on this.
I'm hopping walls. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's a lot, but we got there in the end. But yeah, like I said, the cantina itself is pretty run down now, but it was still great to see. And I really believe that, especially with some of these built locations, that the growth of Galaxy Tours is really going to impact these sites. And I told Charlotte, I was like, I really believe in 3 years if you go on this tour, you'll be able to get a drink at the cantina. I really believe that, because Davin had lived in Tunisia for a while, way before ever starting Galaxy Tour. So he is already very familiar with the country, knows a lot of people there. So he is very familiar with like how like policies and procedures and like how the government works there. So, and he knows so many people, and through running this tour company, he has even more connections. So I really think that it's just a matter of time before something like the cantina is a cantina again.
Yeah, I agree. This whole area was very interesting in the fact that, like Caitlin mentioned, it is a little run down. I do agree that I think things are going to look different in the future. Wandering around, what really strikes me is the clear Djerban architecture comes through. We're talking the domed roofs, the like buttresses, the walls almost that have like rounded corners. I think everyone knows what we're talking about, right? All of that is still there, and it's so interesting because eventually we're going to talk about our visit to the Mos Espa set from the Phantom Menace, which was built, and it's all built to be reminiscent of this type of architecture, but all of that is still there. And it was really cool to see how they were structured in this like 2-day filming period of, they would film this over here and then this over there. And then this would be where base camp would be for the crew. And everything was really close. All of that was, it's not completely structured in the same way that it is in the film, but it essentially is, especially in that part of Mos Eisley when Obi-Wan and Luke and the droids approach the front of the cantina and then get stopped by the stormtroopers and things like that. Like seeing the physicality and the location of where all those were filmed, it just totally made sense. It was so interesting.
Yeah, I think that was something I hadn't really thought about, and going on the tour makes perfect sense, because while Davin was explaining to us about how, he was able to match where all of these things were filmed and things like that, he's like, they're not going to spend money to move the cast and crew any further than they have to. So usually, if there's a portion of the film that hadn't been fully checked off yet, it was like, look close by, because that is actually what's going to make the most sense financially, for the schedule, for timing, for all of it. It's probably closer than you think. So you have like the cantina that is, right by like a newer commercial building. And then the cantina was a bakery. And then in the middle, like right across the street, there are these other structures these other buildings that I believe were associated with the bakery as well. And then, These Aren't the Droids You're Looking For is filmed directly on the other side of this bigger building complex. And it's not very far at all. So that was something that was really surprising. And that also really came to light the next day when we were hiking through a canyon, a gorge, and also later when we were looking at the Indiana Jones filming locations too.
Totally. So after we went through the cantina and those sites, we put the bus on a ferry
That was so fun.
and it was great, and rode the ferry to the mainland and continued our journey. We stopped first to on this journey to visit this next part of the tour, which the next part of the tour was all about visiting these things called Cassars, which is where they filmed the Anakin slave quarters from the Phantom Menace. But we'll get there in a second. First, we picked up our Jedi robes from a local seamstress. This was really fun. When we had Davin on our show, Davin sold us on these Tunisian robes. You want to talk a little bit about the Tunisian robe vibe?
Yeah. So the robes are really cool. It's a Jedi robe, brown, excellent hood.
Made in Tatooine.
The real Tatooine, which doesn't really get much cooler than that. And it is a seamstress that Davin knows who lives in Tatooine. And this has just like become a part of their business now, which is really cool. So once you leave Djerba, we stopped here in Tatooine at the seamstress's business, and she like put the robes on all of us, and it was really cool. And yeah, initially I was like, I don't know if we should get the robes because how are we going to bring them back? Because they're big, right? And Charlotte and I were very brave and did carry-on only for this trip, which if you know us,
so brave.
It's really brave.
So brave.
We famously packed like 8 suitcases to go to Japan, and we were like, we can't do that on this trip. Then again, very brave, did carry-on only. And I was like, I don't know how are we going to get the robe home? But Charlotte was like, that's a problem for another time.
Yep. And it was. That's tomorrow's problem.
Yep.
That's tomorrow's, like, it's not for now.
Yeah, exactly. So we got the robes and they're great. And I was like, I can't wait to wear this every time there's a new Star Wars something coming out, gonna watch the latest TV show in my Jedi robe from Tatooine.
Yeah, it was just really cool to buy something like a piece of merch from Galaxy Tours that was made locally and supports local infrastructure. It was really amazing. And that was a quick stop. Yeah. And then after we did that, we took the bus up through the hills on a curvy road.
It was very curvy in a big bus.
Our driver, by the end of it, had us all calling him Habibi. He navigated that so well, which was great. Yeah. So the final destination for that was Qasr Hadada, which is where part of the Phantom Menace was filmed. And we learned a lot about Qasr. So Qasr is spelled Ksar. We had lunch here, and honestly, you walk through this archway and you walk in and you see these how do I describe them? These like domed buildings that are curved, that have these little windows that were all layers. We ate in the middle of it. They filmed part of the Phantom Menace there, and they scouted this location and ultimately rebuilt parts of it at other locations so they didn't have to travel up those hairpin turn bus like we did with the bus to go to this location. But some parts of the Phantom Menace were filmed here. And specifically the part of Qui-Gon and Shmi talking about Anakin's origins and the fact that he has no father, that was all filmed there. Yeah. But this really became the backdrop for how we view Mos Espa in the Phantom Menace. And so that was really cool. And this was very well preserved. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think it's been restored a lot.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see places where that's in process, actually, because this was a really big complex, I would say. I don't even think we fully saw all of it, but it really felt like walking into a movie set. You can stay there now. It's a hotel currently, as well as like they very much lean into the Star Wars tourism here. So yeah, it was super cool. Qasars, they were granaries used by the Berbers, and many of them are still owned by them today as well. So we're actually not going to go too much further into the Qasars where we're talking about right now, because later tonight when we get to Hotel City Idris, Charlotte and I record basically a recap of this first day as well, but from within the Lars Homestead, and we talk quite a bit about the Qasars in that clip, as well as visiting some of the other locations. But we spend the most time talking about the Qasars, and I know we'll repeat information, so don't want to make you sit through it twice. And I don't know, it's kind of more interesting to hear about it from within the Lars Homestead, right?
Yes.
So just to recap very quickly, we go to Qasar Hadada, which is where Qui-Gon and Shmi's porch is filmed, and then we stop by the Tatooine road sign that we all take a picture in front of, and then we go to the Qasar Omarcia in Medellin, and that's Anakin's hovel, the slave quarters that you see in the Phantom Menace. But we'll talk about that in later from the Lars Homestead.
Yeah, let's just jump there now. So we went to these 2 Qasars, we had lunch, it was amazing. Then after that, our final destination for the night is Hotel City Idris. Hotel City Idris, as Caitlin mentioned, is the interior location, a troglodyte hotel of the Lars Homestead. It was so fun. It was lovely. And we got to stay in some updated rooms that were updated like right before we arrived, which was really cool. So the remodeled rooms were amazing, but something really special and something that Caitlin and I really, really, really wanted to do, it was a big thing, is that we were like, we need to podcast from Tunisia. We need to figure this out. And the only place that we really want to do it is within the Lars Homestead. So we really wanted to do it in the dining room with the amazing mural on the ceiling, which is still there. But we ended up not being able to do that because there were people in there. But we found a spot, and the spot was like above everything. It was really cool. It was like up a little stairs, and it's like in a little cave, essentially. So I don't know. Is there anything you want to say before I play that clip?
No, I think that recording here was honestly a dream come true. What I will say that I don't think we talk about in the clip is when we were talking about the mosaics, right? We were talking about, or I was saying that there's something like a little bit kitschy, kind of charming about it. And I think that feeling really kind of comes from Hotel City Idris. They have done a lot of changes recently. Davin was like, am I in the right place? But I'm just joking, because you absolutely know you're in the right place, because at the front entrance to Hotel City Idris, which they have it built up above ground, but you go down, the stairs go down into the hotel. But it is this big, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a big facade that's been added like within the last month, very recent. It's like triangular shaped, black, and then they have like an X-wing coming out of it, and Darth Vader's helmet, and a couple of other things, but it's all like not licensed, so it's all a little off, if you know what I mean. Which, like I said, that it just creates such a specific type of feeling. And then when you go into the hotel, they have a lot of those types of elements. Like they have some murals painted on the inside of some of the caves, like where you're waiting to check in. And then within the main section, like where A New Hope was filmed, and like where the dining room is, they have like one of the cave rooms is like set up as like the Star Wars room, and there's like all these photos and pictures from Star Wars, not all exclusively filmed within the hotel, but just like Star Wars in general. And then there's like a huge Clone Wars poster that's in there too, which was really fun. And then they have like some like little tchotchkes, like magnets and stuff for sale, which we bought, which were great. And then they have a bar that's there too, which we talk about in the clip. But this like general kind of area, like the main open area, they have these they look like storage containers, which actually
I think they are storage containers.
They are storage containers. They're Star Wars storage containers, which Davin had actually bought for the hotel and wanted the hotel to like put them in the spot where we recorded the podcast, because I think you see part of that in the movie or something like that. It's supposed to look spacey. It's supposed to look like it's a storage room, I think was the goal. And the hotel didn't do that, and they like put them out in this like seating area, and they've like painted these portraits of Star Wars characters on the side of them. But it's in French, so it's like Jabba the Hutt.
We love Jabba the Hutt.
We love Jabba the Hutt. And there's like a Princess Leia one, Han Solo, a stormtrooper, Luke Skywalker, of course, Darth Vader. But it's all so stylized, you know, and I don't know. It was really kind of so fun to see it. I think it does obviously take away from it looking just like it did in the movie, but there's like this other layer.
It's like its own thing.
Yeah, it's this other layer on top of it, which is is cool to see. And I think when we're talking about like the preservation of these sites and the tourism of these sites too, there is this interesting intersection that's kind of happening, I think, between I don't know, like what someone like you and I might think is ideal of bringing it back exactly to how it looked in the movie. There's also the component of it of like, especially with the Qasar, with these historic Qasars and the Hotel City Idris is very historic in and of itself. It is from the late 17th century when it was first built, and it's been a hotel since 1968. There's something about keeping that history at the forefront of a site like this. And then there's something to be said for, we're going to go all in on advertising Star Wars in this really big way. And we're going to put an X-Wing on the front door, a really big, slightly off-brand X-Wing. And it's kind of all operating together, which is really a really kind of interesting experience and analysis at all of these layers of history and tourism and site protection at a place like this. So really fascinating. You guys got to go.
Yeah, you got to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was super cool. We stayed in these like cave rooms. I don't know. Let's roll the clip, Caitlin. Let's roll the clip from recorded a Sky Talkers exclusive from Tunisia. Here it is.
Hello, we are in Hotel City Idris, which is
the Lars Homestead.
The Lars Homestead.
The interior.
Tunisia, the interior. We are recording.
Well, hold on. We have no idea when this particular podcast is coming out, or like the organization of it, I should say. So let's set the scene.
Okay, we're setting the scene.
This is our second full day in Tunisia?
Yes.
Our second full day in Tunisia. It's the first day of the Galaxy Tours. The Galaxy Tours tour.
Galaxy Tours tour.
And we just finished dinner. We have had a full day. And it has been so much fun. And so we just came back from dinner. And right now, we're inside the Lars Homestead. We're at the top of it.
Yes.
Inside a little
hovel.
A little hovel, a little
with
barrel
stairs
vault.
going down into the bottom. We're looking at the
we're
moisture.
Overlooking the dining room.
Yeah, we're overlooking the dining room that Anakin, Padme, Cleve,
Beru
are
Luke.
all in.
We're looking right into it right now.
Luke.
I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, we're staring down the barrel of
the dining room.
Tomorrow morning we should be having blue milk, and I'm sorry if you hear some exterior noise.
Yeah, it was a hotel historically, which we haven't heard the full tour yet of the hotel. We're going to get it tomorrow morning, but I believe the Davin, who you guys heard on the podcast a couple months ago, he told us that this hotel began in 1968. Mm-hmm. You can quote me on that later when we get the actual tour. Mm-hmm. But this place has been a hotel since 1968, and it continues to be a hotel today. We're actually staying here tonight.
Yes, we're staying here tonight.
But it has a bar and a restaurant in it, and so a lot of people who live in the area are here
and congregate here.
Yeah, in the homestead, having a beer.
Yeah, having a beer in the homestead in the center, like it's normal, like it's any old day.
Yeah, and even though there's probably a lot of ambient noise that you're hearing, we thought it was very important
that we record
a podcast here, some version of a podcast here.
Yes, and it feels like Holy Land. I will say, Caitlin and I had 2 opportunities to put our podcast sticker on.
They're like some frames. Where other people leave stickers.
Yeah, so now the Sky Talker sticker lives, I guess, permanently at the Lars Homestead, if you will. And honestly, walking in, it was like super emotional. I'm still like pretty emotional about it. And it's way bigger than I thought, the Lars Homestead itself. Like, I think in Star Wars, it's simply this, subterranean circle that Luke looks down in. And we see in Attack of the Clones, we see Anakin and Padme scale a set of stairs that's actually next to what we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
I think when we stepped in, I was like, whoa, this is bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's way bigger. And I didn't realize how big the entire complex was.
Exactly. So I think you would think that it was just this one round
just what
subterranean.
You see in the movie.
Yeah.
But there's
several.
3 of those.
Yeah, and we're staying in a separate one.
Yeah, but they're all connected.
They're all connected with like tunnels and cave systems.
Yeah, and this one I would say is actually the smallest.
Yeah.
So the one you see in the movie is the interior shots of the Lars Homestead is actually the smallest.
Yes.
And then the actual hotel rooms are in the other sections that are connected underground.
Exactly.
Y'all, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's been. We're gonna do like a full recap of the whole trip, obviously,
and
again,
things that we learned because it's already day one, and I feel like I've learned a lot.
And we don't even know again like how our recap of this trip is gonna be organized. But like today, we've done Tashi Station, the Cantina,
scouted sites for Tashi Station, which were all like most of those were all UNESCO World Heritage sites too, which was so cool.
Yeah. Super cool.
Obi-Wan's house. Did we say that?
Yeah, Obi-Wan's house.
Yeah.
Those were all. So that was the first half of the day, and that was all on the island of Djerba, which, like Charlotte just mentioned, the entire island is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Which Charlotte and I feel like have been like ticking off all these different UNESCO World Heritage Sites, especially since Japan. It's been fun.
Yeah. But specifically, it's so funny. Caitlin was like, "Oh, I'm sad that like we're not gonna," because obviously we're looking at all the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and there's like part of it is these cool like seaside mosques.
Yeah,
that are what you go ahead.
They were so on Djerba. It's an island, and the mosques on this island, a lot of them are along the coastline, and they served a dual purpose for fortification, and then also obviously for religious purposes. They're super unique. It's part of why the whole island is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
And also part of the reason why when George Lucas visited, and we had, there are location scouts as well, not just George Lucas, but they were like, this is cool. It's super cool. Unique architecture.
Yeah, specifically Djerban architecture is a huge inspiration. Djerban. Anyway, where we were staying last night on Djerba, we were not close to the seaside mosques, and
it turns out Obi-Wan Kenobi's house is a seaside mosque,
and so is Tashi Station. And so is the scouted location for Tashi Station. Yeah. The more you know. So we got to see them.
We got to see them after all.
Really cool. Yeah, it was so funny because we're in a bus and they're like taking us around, and I'm on my phone on the UNESCO World Heritage Site that has like a map of all the seaside mosques, and I was like, oh, we're going to this one. We're so close to this one.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. You guys know we love like general history, of course, and like going to historic sites. So this was such a great crossover. Like it's already been such
like the first time we got out of the van and the like information started pouring.
We were like
wow, this is fully for us. It's like so deep. It's so great.
Yeah. And that was just the first half of the day. Yeah. And the second half, where'd we go?
The second half of the day, we went to the like scouted sites and film sites for this like the slave quarters in the Phantom Menace. So we saw the platform in which Qui-Gon and Shmi have the conversation.
They call it Qui-Gon and Shmi's porch.
Yeah, their porch.
Their porch.
And then also just those like super unique looking structures that have those many windows and like small little stairs that go up it that are the Anakin Skywalker slave quarters.
Yeah, it's called
Kasar.
Because
they're Kasars. Ksar.
They're granaries.
Yeah.
They held grain for the tribes of Tunisia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and anyway, they're Kasars.
We saw a bunch. We went to 2, 3. We went to two. One of them had like 2 different sections.
Yeah.
So we saw Anakin and Shmi's home too.
Yeah, the first one was where they shot the Qui-Gon and Shmi
on the porch. We had lunch there. It was awesome.
That was the first Kasar we went to. The second Kasar is where it's all the exterior shots of like Anakin saying goodbye to Shmi, going into the door, the sandstorm.
I got so emotional at that.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then we ended the day at the Lars Homestead.
Yeah, we checked into because we're staying here tonight, and then tomorrow morning we have breakfast and blue milk
in the dining room.
In the dining room.
Again, to set the scene, we're overlooking the entire interior of
the moisture evaporators.
The moisture evaporators, they have them here, and we're looking into the dining room right now. Truth be told, we were actually going to record this in the dining room, but of course, like we mentioned, there are people that like come to the bar that's here, and so people are in the dining room.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have another opportunity, but I don't know.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm really loving our vantage point.
Me too.
So this is really fun. And anyway, like I said, we thought it was so important to record part of a podcast here.
It is so important.
Yeah.
And it's already been such a freaking special trip. It's so crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is only day 1. So we wanted to give a quick update from the ground.
From the ground.
From underground.
And just know that it's like, it feels very magical and very otherworldly and very I don't know. It's different than I was expecting, but also the same in the way that it's like it feels very reverent and
Yeah, it feels familiar because we're so familiar with Star
yeah,
Wars.
yeah. It's great. It's just been so great.
Yeah,
So,
we're having a great time. We'll check in again.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll be in a different I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna be.
I don't know where we're going to be next, but right now we're coming to you live from the Lars Homestead.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Signing off.
Bye.
May the force be with
May
you.
the force be with you. All right. That was coming to you live from inside the Lars Homestead, looking into the dining room. I can't. Wow. Really was such a bucket list item. I never would have thought was even a possibility 4 months ago. So really, really cool. And if you go there, our sticker is in 2 places. One right by at the bottom of the stairs when you first come into the hotel, and then the other one is in the Star Wars room, the Star Wars cave that's like in the main section. So look for us.
Yes, we're part
'Cause we're
of Luke
there.
Skywalker's house. So that was an incredible experience. And after that, we went to sleep.
Yeah.
We were very tired.
Yeah.
And we were like, that was day one.
Just
That was day one.
so insane. So
Yeah.
insane.
We were like, wow, this trip is going to be insane. And the thing is after day one, I was like, I don't know if it gets any better than this. The touring of that, like, I don't know. It did. It really did. It kept getting better. Every day was better than the last.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. So the next morning, you get up really early, and Davin was kind of doing these like rotating tours of the hotel, kind of when people were coming in from getting up and right before breakfast and stuff like that.
And this was important because, as you probably heard in our last clip, like it's lively there. People are having a drink. And so the next morning, and it was dark when we arrived too. So we were really looking forward to seeing the interior of the Lars Homestead during the daytime and during the light. So we woke up bright and early, like 6:30. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
And like Caitlin said, Davin was doing these rotating tours to talk about the history and what we were looking at, what was original to 1976 and what was original to 2000 when they filmed there for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cool to see the components that were still there and ones that had been brought in later by Hotel City Idris and kind of remade, if you will, and just hearing about the history of the site itself too. So that was really cool. It was great to see it in the morning. We all had breakfast there, and then blue milk. I'll be honest, it was not very good.
It was bad.
But I will also be honest.
You had to do it.
It's for the picture. It was 100%
It's for the picture.
For the picture, and it is what it is. And we got the pic.
The pic was got.
Yeah.
The milk was not drank.
No, it was not.
It was simply held.
It was simply held. Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for. I mean, I would like it if it tasted a little better.
I would change it a little bit, but
I don't think that they should get rid of it just because I don't think it tasted. You know what I'm saying? Like
no.
We have to have the blue milk there.
You have to have the blue milk there. Yeah. And like Charlotte mentioned, the rooms that we were staying in were quite like, I think they were finished with renovating the day before we got there,
or the hour before
that day. Yeah, because all of our rooms were brand spanking new, which was really wonderful. But like the plastic was still on the TVs, which was fun. I was like, I can't even, unless you're playing Star Wars, I don't know if I could watch anything else while I'm here. But you're in a cave. It was the darkest room I've ever slept in, which was great. It was so funny though, because Charlotte and I, when we're on trips, we listen to like brown noise before we go to sleep. And suddenly, as we were about to go to sleep, we realized we didn't have any service and could not get the sacred brown noise. And it was so quiet. It was too quiet, a loud quiet, you know what I mean? And so we both were like taking turns trying to see if we could journey far enough to like the center of the room, like towards the open part, like outside of our door, to see if we could get service to download one singular brown noise track that we could just loop throughout the
It
whole
was
night.
so quiet.
It was
so quiet.
It was so quiet. It was so dark. We, we finally got there though, so
I
no one
forgot that the
worry.
first thing that we did when we woke up was to see who won or who got voted out
yeah,
of Dancing with the Stars. And we had to like go towards the door to even get service. I was like, who got voted out?
Charlotte, this is the first year Charlotte and I have been watching Dancing with the Stars, and the one downside to this trip to Tunisia was missing a week of Dancing with the Stars. And we got up the next morning, and Charlotte immediately gets up and she's like making her way to the door, which is where the bathroom was. Was like, oh, like do you have to go to the bathroom? She was like, no, I'm trying to get service to see who got voted off Dancing with the Stars. And I was like, oh my God, who was it?
It was Andy.
It was Andy. But yeah, and I also will say that while the rooms are all very nice, that was maybe the hardest bed I've ever slept in. And I think they have never been slept in before. They need to be broken in a lot, but it was not the most comfortable sleep, I'll be honest, but it doesn't matter because
we suffer for Star Wars sometimes. You
yeah,
know?
and it's like it's a hotel. You can't not stay here. You know what I mean?
have to stay
like
there.
you have to stay here. But if you're thinking about going on this trip, I also got to be real with you. That's if you don't like a firm mattress, that's going to be a hard one for you.
Also, bring shower shoes because
this was
the
another thing
bathroom was
Robin
one of the-
told us
Yes.
to do as well, was to bring shower shoes.
Yeah, because the bathroom, while we had a private bathroom, it was one of these, and they have them all over Europe too, of like
The wet showers.
the wet showers, and they don't
Mm.
like it floods the bathroom, you know?
Yeah. Well, originally, why Robin had told us to bring shower shoes is until 24 hours before we got to Hotel City Idris, it was all communal bathrooms, actually. So they're still there. So it was communal showers and communal restrooms and sink and mirror and all of that. You didn't have it in the room, but we did. And this might be different in the future because we quite literally were the first people to sleep in these rooms. But like our shower, the drain wasn't working quite as well as it should have. So our shower kind of flooded a little bit, but and so it was good we had the shower shoes at that point. But I imagine that will probably be fixed in the future. I would hope so anyway. But I would also say the like shower shoes, like a really thin flip-flop, is helpful in these hotels because they're all like stone floors. Like even at our next hotel, which we'll talk about in the town of Nefta, Darhi, it's, I don't know, they're stone floors. There's not like carpet. They can get like a little sandy or dusty just because of the environment that you're in. So I thought having like the shower shoes, the flip-flops were really nice for like house shoes almost in our hotel rooms. Yeah, and just to make sure, because it'd be like I'd be walking on the floor, and especially in Nefta, which is in an oasis, but you're also in the Sahara. You know, there's sand. There's a lot of sand, and I was like,
Anakin said it best. It gets everywhere.
and he was right, and he was just standing on business, and we've all been giving him crap for years now. And
I have not.
No, not Charlotte. Not Charlotte. Perfect Star Wars Anakin fan would never. But it was like, you know, like when you're walking on like a sandy floor, you could like feel the sand, and then it was like, I got to get into bed, and I was like, I don't want that. You know
100%.
what I mean?
I completely agree.
Anyway, I would recommend the shower shoes or like a really thin flip-flop sandal, sort of something that you intend to wear like in the rooms.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Okay. Breakfast was had. Blue milk was had. Then this was our journey to Nefta, which was a bit of a long drive. We've talked about this a little bit, but you are, especially on like this 4-day trip, you are in the bus for 2 to 3 hour stretches on some days, which is not a short time, but like Charlotte and I both said, for us personally, it tended to fly by pretty quickly. We were also like looking at our photos. Charlotte was editing TikToks and stuff like that. So, and we were talking with people, and you know, we had friends on the bus. So, you know,
and there's also a significant amount of the tour description that happens on the buses too, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Usually, like 30-ish minutes before we would arrive at a location, Davin would start giving us like history and information about
background.
The place. Yeah. So, like I said, you are in the bus for a lot, but for us, that wasn't like an issue. It didn't seem to drag. It didn't feel like wasted time or anything like that. But going from Hotel City Idris to Nefta does take some time. We stopped in the salt flats, which were crazy to see. The biggest salt flats in Africa, right? Or in the Sahara?
I believe so.
It's one of those. Totally insane to see this just like stretch out for miles and miles on either side of you. Like
the way that the bus landscape just like totally changed. We were like, where are we? It looked like Crete, guys.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It was nuts.
It was nuts. So we journeyed through the salt flats, and the first town that you get to, the first city, is Tozeur, which is the bigger kind of, I think they called it, it's like the capital of the governorate or the county, whatever you want to call it, here in this area of Tunisia. So it's the bigger city between Tozeur and Nefta. So we stopped and had lunch in Tozeur. This was a delicious lunch. This was one of I think yours too. We had the same thing. One of our like top meals from the trip was here.
Yeah, we had shakshuka, which was it's just the stew. It's a vegetable stew
like
with eggs in it, and then you use the bread to dip. And we had the harissa and then the break. Honestly, everything was so delicious. I loved the food in Tunisia. And if you're worried that like, I don't know, I felt very, very much like everything that I tried, it wasn't too crazy, but it was particularly still like a cultural experience. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And none of the restaurants we went to were particularly touristy either, which I think that sometimes you would think would be part of a tour bus or tour group situation, but no. We were in like these local restaurants. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. Charlotte is definitely more of an adventurous eater than I am. I would say like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 6 to 7 on the adventurous eater scale, depending on where we are. And I like had no idea what Tunisian cuisine was. So this was definitely something that I wouldn't say worried about because I knew we'd figure it out, but I don't know. I was just a little bit more like, what are we going to be eating? And it was all so delicious. It was really good. I don't know. It was so great. And like, I don't really like spicy food. It's been something I've been working on for the past couple of years, is trying to like up the amount of spicy food I can take in. And it's still not a lot, but Charlotte and I agreed that I kind of leveled up after Tunisia because the harissa I ate like with every meal and loved it. And then like some of the shakshuka that we had was also pretty spicy, and like I did a really good job. And it was because it was really good. So anyway, if you were curious about the food there, it was really good. A lot of meat. It would be like we would go to a place and they'd be like, do you want lamb with couscous, chicken with couscous? At this particular restaurant in Tozeur, people had camel in a jar or lamb
gargoule.
Yes, or lamb or chicken in a jar, which was like a different type of meal, which was we didn't have that, but it looked really good. So yeah, the food was excellent. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you might be thinking jar. Interesting. I think in America we think about glass jars, but really it was like a clay pot. It was cooking it in a clay pot. It looked really good.
Yeah.
I don't wish I got it because I really liked the shakshuka, but like it looked really good.
The presentation was very impressive, of course.
Yeah. This lunch was awesome. It was so good. And after the lunch, we rolled on up to a national park within Tunisia called Mageur Gorge. Is that how you pronounce that? Mageur Gorge? Okay.
Potentially.
Mageur Gorge.
Yes.
So I knew that there was a hiking portion on the tour, but I kind of had like deleted it from my brain, to be honest, because I just didn't want to overthink the hike of it all as I'm not an outdoorsy gal. But yeah, we hiked. You hike on up to a little hill, then you hike down and go into this as we say, a gorge, this canyon part. And it was really fun. I think Caitlin and I were really shocked about how much we enjoyed the hiking portion. We were like, maybe we'll hike some more in other locations. It was so fun.
Neither one of us are outdoorsy gals, as Charlotte said. So looking up at the bottom of what we were going to hike initially, it was like, oh.
Davin was like, we're going to go up there all the way up. And we were like, I was looking at, squinting my eyes a little bit, like all the way up? Okay.
Yeah, but we did it. And it was great. And it was actually
and
really
it wasn't
fun.
hard. It was really easy. And it was great.
I will say there are parts of it where you're kind of close to the edge, which I'm a little scared of heights, but overall it was pretty easy peasy and was not too arduous. I would say the total like straight hiking time was maybe like 30 minutes to 40, like going uphill. And those were with like stops along the way because Mageur Gorge is where so much filming takes place for A New Hope. I was kind of shocked at how much was in this one place, which is part of the running theme of us learning about how all of these filming sites, like when they are doing a lot of these types of locations, like in the gorge, they're just kind of like turning the camera around and moving it forward like 100 feet and then back 100 feet. And
also Indiana Jones too in this.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Indiana Jones was filmed here too. And like Charlotte said, I think this portion ended up being such a surprise for the both of us of how much we enjoyed it and also how legible all of these filming locations were. I don't think I realized that I would be able to look at a rock and be like, oh, wait a second. I recognize that rock.
And totally. It was crazy.
Yeah. And some of it obviously was not as clear, but walking around there, especially so like you go up to the summit of the, you've never seen a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. That's the main walk. You go all the way up to the summit up there. And then you come down and then you're seeing sites where you have R2 and the Jawas, you have the Tuskan Raiders, the Hello There is filmed down there, the fight between Luke and the Tuscan. That's all at the bottom of the gorge. And it's all down there. And like I said, a lot of it was really recognizable. And it was like, wow, I wasn't really expecting that from this natural site, whereas with the buildings the day before, that kind of seemed a little bit more obvious or more up like Charlotte and I's alley, I would say. But then this was so surprising at how fun it was and how easy it was to match up these filming locations to what was out there now.
Yeah, completely. It was so fun. There is this part where you have to like swing over a wall and go down
the side of the cliff.
And it was honestly not that high.
It was not.
But when you reach it, you're like, wait, that looks really far down. And then Davin was super helpful and there's places for you to put your feet. It was honestly very easy, but
well, you hike all the way up there and then he's like, okay, we're going down now. But you just have like the side of the cliff and you can't see the bottom from that particular vantage point. So quite literally, it's less than 7 feet below you. But when you don't know what to expect and you can't actually see where your feet are supposed to go, that 7 feet becomes like 25 feet in your brain.
Yeah. And in my head, I was thinking about how one time when I was in Colorado, my cousin is a pro rock climber. And for his wedding, he took everyone out rock climbing. And I was like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be so fun. I did it. And I wiped out so hard, maybe a foot off the ground. Like it And so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is technically easy. But when I was all suited and kitted up, yes, exactly, that I still will fall.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, all right, I'm gonna get, retribution, I guess, for that one time I fell in Colorado. It's gonna be totally fine because I can't wipe out here. That's not happening.
In front of all these people.
And you're like, I think Caitlin's filming me. I don't know.
You're like really nice linen matching set. You're like on the side of the cliff.
Yeah. There's a video on our Instagram stories if you want to go see.
Yeah, I went down first. And of course, once you're
Caitlin was like, I'm going.
I was like, I gotta I can't be number 18 in line or else I'll just like hype myself up too much in a negative way about it. But of course, once you're on the other side, you're like, wait, it's like 6 feet off the ground.
It's literally with footholds. Like it was so easy.
Yeah. So
and someone helping you.
Yeah, exactly. So it ended up being fine. We made it down the cliff and then back up because you go back that route to walk down too. So we did it. We were successful. We're outdoorsy now, just so you know. But what was really fun about this spot, well, once you go down into the gorge, is that we go to the filming location of Luke versus the Tuscan, which is on top of these like 2 bigger rocks that are at the bottom of the gorge. And Davin is telling us about how he's like matched the rocks and like, this is how you know this is the right spot, which is actually really cool because so you've got the 2 rocks where the fight happens. And then behind those rocks, there's another big rock. But that big rock has a big black stripe through it that you can see in the movie. And that is really kind of the landmark to know you're in the right spot here. But
there's also a cool like drawn on square on the wall of a different scene. I think it's the scene with Obi-Wan saying hello there. That
no,
also
what
is it?
I think it's the Jawas or something with R2.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
Regardless, there's a part of this stone wall that has essentially graffiti on it that is visible in the film.
Yeah, it's historic graffiti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. So yeah, that's another really good landmark. But at the Luke versus the Tuscan scene, Davin gets on top of the big rocks and he's like, we need someone to reenact the scene. And I was there. And so I got to be Luke. But it was really funny because these rocks are like really big. And Davin quite literally said to me, just parkour up there. I was like, what? But I did it because I'm outdoorsy now. And I got to be on top of the rock and I got to be Luke. And
you got to parkour up there.
I got to parkour like, up
jumping
there.
Around, dodging Megan, who was playing the Tuskan Raider.
Yeah. And yeah, there was this girl, Heather, on the trip, and she had like a big tripod that she had brought, to take pictures and stuff. But this tripod became like the eternal prop for like every conceivable scene you could imagine. It was the gaffy stick that the Tuscans had. It was, of course, a lightsaber. We used it later in Carowin as like a pistol for the Indiana Jones scenes. Like, thank God Heather had brought this tripod because it really became everything for that anyone could need for any scene. And anyway, it was the gaffy stick in this scene. So Megan was the Tuscan, and like Davin was like, she's gonna jump from the one rock onto the other rock, and then you're gonna scramble backwards. And I was like, what? Wait, what? Wait. So it was kind of like a hop and a scramble on my part, but it was very fun, and yeah, kind of like another bucket list item I didn't know I had. So that was really super cool to do.
It was so cool.
It was so very fun. Yeah. And everyone clapped. We did a good job, Megan and I.
It was also just like really funny.
Yeah, it was. It was. That video, I think, is on our Instagram, or will be by the time you're listening to this, along with Charlotte, me filming Charlotte being very scared about going down the cliffside. Really funny. But yeah, this, like I said, this journey through the gorge was so fun, so surprising. Didn't think I would love it as much as I did. I know that's true for Charlotte too. And it was also really cool too because one of the other guests there is one of our listeners, actually, Kevin. So hello, Kevin, if you're listening to this. And Kevin is a geologist, which was so cool because going up like through this gorge, he knew about all the rocks.
All the rocks. And there was this cool like vein running through
like
the
quartz,
rocks.
I think it was.
Everyone had all these questions. I'm sure it's not, I don't know. What if it's not quartz? I don't know. I'm nervous now.
I know.
But it was so great.
Yeah, it was.
To get the info.
It was really fun too. And Kevin, he had brought all of these Lego minifigs, and he had them specifically for each place that we were visiting. Like at Hotel City Idris, he had Baru and Luke minifig, but not just like a regular Luke minifig. It was Luke with the blue milk mustache minifig and
the blue milk.
And the blue milk. It was so specific for every site we visited. And anyway, it was great. And he would the photos are so good too. They're so professional. I couldn't get over it. He was sending them in the WhatsApp and I was like, wait, oh my God, these are so good.
Yeah. It's a good point for you to bring up. It's really cool. There's like the entire group tour had a WhatsApp group and it's really fun. It's cool that everyone was, I don't know, chatting, sharing photos. It was amazing. It's still pretty active.
Yeah. It was very cool. And yeah, anyway, the gorge was so much fun and we really loved it. And from there, we went to the next hotel that we are actually going to be staying at for 2 nights, which is in the town of Nefta, which is Darhi Life, I think is its full name. And this hotel is
so cool.
So cool. So Andor-esque.
It's just like very Star Warsy. It's on the edge of an oasis, which like a legitimate oasis in the middle of the desert with palm trees, and it's on a hill overlooking. And there are several different types of rooms that you could get in Darhi.
They're all different.
They're all different, just like before, but yeah, so you could get a super high one that overlooks the oasis, or you get ones that are sort of lower on the mountain, which is one that we got that had basically 3 or 4 levels inside of the rooms. All the rooms are really different and massive. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they all had day beds in them too.
Yeah.
So ours had 2 day beds in it, and then also like the regular bed.
Yeah, and this hotel's eco-friendly and really sustainable. And the food was super good and amazing. And this was significantly nicer than Hotel City Idris, by the way.
Yeah.
This hotel has a super cool, like, raised geothermal pool that was filled with algae. That's, I don't want to overthink, but I'm just like, that's good for you, I guess. But it was super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this dinner was amazing. It started with these huge, gigantic beans with cinnamon on the top, which I was obsessed with.
Those were
I loved it.
Yeah.
And then we got this big stew with couscous and lamb. It was amazing. And then so many of the meals finish with pomegranates with rose hip water and just like fruit. You always end with fruit in Tunisian meals.
Dates.
And dates. Yes, we learned something about dates. We learned that in Islam, you are,
like
I might get this wrong.
Almost.
Yes, a superstition that you really only should be eating odd numbers of dates. So if you have 1 date, you shouldn't have 2 dates. You have to have 3 dates if you're going to go for it again. So what was really funny is Ahmed, one of the guides with us, the Tunisian guides.
He was telling us about this superstition.
Yeah, he was telling us about the superstition, and I love something like this. So I'm like, okay, great. This is my rule. Like, I'm only gonna if I want dates, I'm gonna use it as an excuse to have 3 instead of 1. And Ahmed, I think he had 2 in his hand, and Davin was like, okay, so what do you think about that? He was simply like, well, I don't care.
Yeah, we were all like, wait, Ahmed, you've only had 2 dates. You got to have another. And he looks at us and he goes, oh, I don't care.
We were like, wait. But I did keep up the tradition because we had dates all the time, every day. Dates for dessert, dates everywhere.
All good dates,
and so,
no bad dates.
No bad dates at all. And the dates, particularly in Nefta, where we were incredible. I don't think I'm ever going to have a better date in my life. Like,
yeah, that's where that's where the main like date palms, or the majority of date palms in Tunisia, are in this area, like between Nefta and Tojer, I believe. The oases, a lot of what you see in these oases are date palms.
Exactly. So anyway, used that fun little odd number rule this entire time.
Yeah.
Just because we thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. So we did have dinner all together at the hotel. And then what was fun about this particular edition of the group tour for Galaxy Tours is that there was a scientist with us. We had Kevin, our geologist, but then there was Lee, who I don't really know what his job is, but he's the head of physics at the Advanced Materials Lab, and he specializes in heat transfer materials, which I could maybe have told you what that really meant, but I don't fully know. But he was giving lectures after dinner about like science and Star Wars, which was really cool. And the one he gave us after dinner this night was on space, time, and motion. And he talked about how gravity is not a real thing, which kind of broke my brain a little bit, and about how we could conceptually like move between places and how that could work in Star Wars with warping time and space as you like move between planets. It was really cool. I think Davin is planning on doing more things like this in the future, where you have someone like Kevin, for example, who could talk about like the rocks and the geology of a place like Tunisia and how you kind of see that reflected in Star Wars. And then someone like Lee, who's on like the space side of it in a lot of ways and can talk about like hyperspace and like moving between planets and stuff like that. So I I thought this was such a cool component to the trip, and I hope that Galaxy Tours continues to do things like this more in the future, because it was really fun. Unfortunately, we only got one lecture from Lee, but on our ATVs, Lee got injured, so he wasn't able to give more of the science talks, but he is planning on giving them to our group via Zoom some point in the future, which I'm really looking forward to. This was really fun. We all stayed after dinner, and he had a little PowerPoint presentation, and we all had our after dinner fruit and dates and our wine, and it was really fun. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. And it did bend my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like, FYI, gravity is not real. And I was like, what? Come again? I'm still not sure I fully get it. I thought I got it at the time of the lecture, but here, a week and a half removed, I'm not 100% sure, but I guess I'm sure that gravity is not a real thing.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think gravity is real, but it's in my notes, it says all gravity is a warping of the fabric of space-time. So gravity in itself isn't real.
Yeah.
It's just a warping of space and time.
Yeah. So my notes say gravity affects space and time, which is general relativity. And then gravitational masses bend time and space. So
period.
The Earth. And I've always said that. So the Earth is a gravitational mass. And then, yeah, I have the same note of all gravity is a warping of space time. Gravity doesn't really exist. So
sure,
take that with you.
Yeah, but regardless, this was very fun, and cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
And then after that, everyone else went to go hang out in the geothermal pools, but we were exhausted.
Yeah,
we had to go to sleep.
All the hiking,
after our hike,
all the hiking,
yeah. That's what happens when you become. Yeah, that's what happens when you become outdoorsy gals
in a 12-hour time span.
You never know what's going to happen in Tunisia.
You might become someone who can eat spicy food suddenly. You might become an outdoorsy gal. You might learn about gravity not existing. A lot's going to happen to you.
Big things happen.
Big things happening. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our Tunisian trip experience. So the rest of it, we have a big day that happens the next day, and then we'll talk about the rest of our tour too, which is really exciting. But
yeah, a little,
that will be next week.
Yeah, a little teaser, because we knew we had to split this episode up because it was going to be so chatty, so long, which we're almost at 2 hours here now. But we have 2 more days of the tour to cover, and the next one, that's the visit to the homestead and the binary sunset, the Star Wars moment. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to come back and hear about that, because this, to me, this is why you take this tour, honestly.
Exactly.
So you're definitely going to want to hear about it. And I would go on this tour again simply to repeat this one singular day. So
Agreed.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Like we said, come back next week to hear about the rest of our time in Tunisia. We loved it, and we'll continue to tell you about how much we loved it and all the details of what we did. So if you are interested in visiting Tunisia or going on Galaxy Tours, we would love to know. If you have any questions, you can find us and ask us on Twitter/X at SkyTalkersPod, or our personal handles. Mine is at Caitlin Plusher and Charlotte's is at Crarity. We also have our Instagram and TikTok, which have lots of photos and videos of the trip as it was occurring in real time. So if you haven't looked at those yet and want to see, visualize more of this trip, that is definitely the place to go. Also,
and an Instagram highlight which is going in order of the trip.
Exactly. That is definitely the place to go. Check those out. Also, skytalkers.com, our website. And if you have a couple seconds and would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we would so appreciate it, as it helps other people find our show. And if you're interested in other ways to support us, you can head on over to our Patreon and check out our reward tiers there.
I want to say a huge thank you to these patrons: Joey, Matza, Jackson, Lauren, Diana, Sarah, Kelly, Susanna, Cherie, Katie, Z, Stuart, Hannah, Jason, Thomas, Derek, Suki, Fifi, John, Debo, Neil, Daniel, Amy, Bailey, Emma, Sam, and Sophie. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
This has been a 58 Ember production. For more shows, please visit the 58 Ember channel, 58ember.com, or find us at 58 Ember Media on socials.